All right, we are live. And what I want to talk about today is clarity leads to action and faster running. So let me save you some time. You don't have to feel like you're injured all the time. You don't have to feel like you're not getting any faster. You don't have to feel like you have to sacrifice the running you love to heal from an injury. And you don't have to stress about what you should be doing for exercises in order to continue running into your 40s, 50s, and well beyond. So, why did you start running? For me, it was all about staying in shape in my early 30s. So, I didn't get that quote unquote dad bod, right? And then for me, it was a matter of managing my stress, working full time as a physical therapist and teaching part time at our university and going back to school for a PhD and not getting much sleep and trying to manage all of that. I needed an outlet to clear my head. And that is why I became a runner. I didn't become a runner to just get injured and not be able to run. I didn't become a runner to worry about if I'm doing what is right or am I doing a thing that's going to make my injury worse or stressing about all of the resources out there and not knowing what to do and which ones are best for me. So, through these podcast episodes, I have really been able to help thousands find motivation and direction in their running and in your lives. So, with these episodes also comes lots of questions. Many of you has messaged me, and I love the messages. Keep them coming. We get a lot of questions from our listeners on how to fix their running or what path they should take or what step should you take in your running? What exercises are best? Should you not run and let your injury heal? Should you just run through it and ignore what your doctor told you? Should you do speed work? What shoes are best for your injury? Did your shoes cause your injury? Should you cross train? Should you do yoga? Should you do a keto diet? Should you do intermittent fasting? Right? These are all common questions that we hear a lot on the podcast. And in this episode, I will share with you how clarity can lead to action and why we created our one-on-one Healthy Runner coaching program and how you can stop being a frustrated runner who is trying to get out of the injury cycle or trying to get faster. So, who am I? I'm Dr. Dwayne Scotty, right? I'm a physical therapist. I'm a run coach. I've been doing this for a while. I've been a physical therapist for 18 years, and I am the founding owner of Spark Physical Therapy and our Healthy Runner community. And I just like love hearing stories from other runners who are kind of struggling, right? And they really haven't seen the benefits of being able to actually run and not get injured. And today, actually, just today, I've had two of my clients reach out, and I met with them actually today for kind of our 1 month follow ups. So we do deep dive episodes in our coaching program every 4 weeks to kind of see where you've been going. We've messaged each other throughout those 4 weeks, and I've been looking at what they're doing for their runs and their plans, and we've kind of streamlined them. But today was like deep dive time, right? So I just honestly want to share with you because one of our members in our Healthy Runner community, and she actually was nice enough to actually post this in our Facebook group today. So I'm sure she wouldn't mind me using her name, but Jana, like she just started the program 3.5 weeks ago, and she was really struggling at getting back into running, and she had knee surgery, actually had a meniscal tear, had a knee scope. And she has bought many strength programs before over the past 6 years trying to fix herself, right? She said she spent like hundreds of dollars if she added it all up. And she tried doing some things here, tried doing some things there, and she was just getting confused. And this is a common story that I hear. So that's why I'm sharing it with you, because there may be one of you right now on your run listening to this, and this can help you because you might not know that there are things out there that can help. But really, the she was on like information overload, as she kind of described, and she's seen countless doctors, chiropractors, trainers, everyone to no avail. Everyone had a different take, had a different opinion. After her last injury, that she wound up getting the surgery on the knee, she really started to give up as being a runner. She got depressed. She basically stopped all forms of exercise after she graduated, right? Quote unquote, in graduation terms, from PT, right? Or her post surgical rehab, right? Their surgeon sent her to PT, said, you're going to go to PT to heal from this surgery. She was afraid to actually start running again. And every time that she tried, her knee just felt funny. So she wound up, finding our Healthy Runner community. She's been listening to the podcast for a while, and she lurked around in our Healthy Runner group, she says, and decided to reach out. And I'm so glad that she did, because we had spoke over the phone, and she was scared, honestly, to make an appointment, but she's glad that she did. She's 3.5 weeks into this program, and like when we met today, just hearing what she had to say after 3.5 weeks was just amazing. And this is why I do what I do. She really has gotten a structured run and strength plan. And, she had to start slow. And because we were building up from nothing, right? She hasn't run in many, many, many months, and she's coming off of surgery. So we really kind of brought her in very slowly. And she even admits that if she tried to do it on her own, she would have done too much. She would have felt pain, her knee would have bothered her, and she would have stopped. And I hear this all the time. That's again why I'm sharing this, because there is a way that you don't have to do that, right? I was able to take the confusion away from her, and she's had zero knee pain. She had some hip achiness that we kind of talked about. We talked about strategies to kind of fix that. And then she was really, before working together, she said if she felt that in her hip, she would have like stopped, because she was fearful that she would do some long-term damage to her hip, right? So she would have stopped everything. But what was key was our constant messaging, my constant direction. And she even had a little low back pain in there. And, she messaged me like, hey, I'm not going to do the workout. We got into a little discussion, and I actually was like, you know what? This is something that is very common. This is common to actually have this type of back pain. And you know what? Movement is actually medicine, the correct movement. So I asked her some questions, because depending upon the type of back pain it is, it's going to depend upon the type of exercises, and really encouraged her to actually do the exercises. And because running was not painful, I had her do her run that day, and she felt better after. And this didn't wind up being a 3-4 week low back pain kind of setback, right? We were able to kind of guide her where she needed to be. And, she shared this. So I'm sharing it with you because it just makes me feel so good to take someone who really had little hope that they can actually run again, and then actually implement the strategies and get clarity on where she needed to focus, where she needed to start for where she was in her running journey, which looks completely different than her running looked like 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago. So she understands there's still a lot of work ahead, right? And I hope to follow up with you guys, honestly, on Jana's story in another 3 months from now, when we're kind of through our 16-week program, and see where her running is, because I know she is going to be accomplishing great things because she's motivated, she's dedicated, and putting the work in, and she's willing to do that. And then I just need to share this, like a real quick one. So I apologize right off the bat for getting into these stories, but Scott is another client that is really, this is something very common that I see, this kind of hamstring pain. And he was a little bit, I guess, pessimistic, right? That the plan that we had outlined was actually going to work. And, very critical eye, and you could tell. when I first met with him, and he's been in same thing 3.5 weeks. I started around the same time. That's why our kind of follow-ups were on the same day. And Scott was just saying today when I talked to him that like everything is feeling better in general, and that he loves the structure of the program. So that's really what I want to kind of talk about today is, and I really planned on talking about this before these stories came up today. So it was just like fitting. It was actually today. So it's like super fresh in my head. So that's why I'm sharing it. Um, so, do you think you don't have enough time for strength training? And I ask you that because as you're running right now, you're probably thinking, yeah, they talk about strength training on this Healthy Runner podcast, and but I really don't have time for strength training. But my question to you is, do you have time to run? Right? Do you always make time for your runs? And this was actually a conversation I had with one of my clients today. And depending upon where you are in your running journey, what you're coming off of, whether it's an injury, whether it's an off season, are you in your peak part of your training before your big goal race? Strength training has a place. It just depends upon how much, and it's all a matter of proportions. So, the question that was posed to me today was, do I need to dedicate like 3 hours of strength training, like forever to be a runner? And my answer was, well, it really depends on where you are in your training cycles. So I'll give you guys the little spiel that I told my client today is, during your off season, let's say. So many people on the East Coast or northern part of the country right now are in our off season because it's getting cold. There's not many races in the winter, unless you're doing a destination race, of course. But if you're going into off season, you did a fall marathon, fall half marathon, this is the time to double down on that strength training because as we talked about in the last episode, strength training is important to run, right? So this is where I do usually recommend my clients, if at all during the year, do a 3-day strength program or plan. It would be now. If your time is crunched, then you do a 30 minutes, right? Each day, 3 times a week. And then as you get into your half marathon training cycle, your marathon training cycle, then that's where we bump it down to 2 times a week. And as you're peaking in your training, especially for the marathon, then we bump you down to 1 time a week of strength training. And then as you're kind of heading into your big goal race and you're tapering, then we actually take strength training all out of the plan to begin with. So it really depends upon where you are in your journey, and that should shift just like your running plan should shift. So just wanted to kind of bring up that point. And for those of you who are hopping here on the Facebook Live, by the way, how we doing, Coach Cat? Hey, Sue, how are you? Coach Lou's here. Roger, what's going on? Amanda, how are you? Good to see you. Katya, how are you? Good to see you as well. Thank you guys so much for joining. If you have any questions whatsoever, I am going to try my best to actually see your questions. It does appear that Facebook's kind of freezing a little bit, so it doesn't look like I'm seeing questions right away. But if you have a question, drop it in the comment box. If I don't get to it during the episode, I will certainly respond to you when I hop off. So Christy is also here. So how you doing, Christy? Good to see you. In quotes there, see you. I can picture your face, so I'll pretend that I'm seeing you. So as I mentioned before, my background is really over the past 18 years. It's going to be 19 years, actually. I've been helping runners as a physical therapist, run coach, and have really designed a system with a structured plan to get you out of an injury cycle. So all the runners that work with me, I guide them through 4 distinct phases that really integrates your rehab exercises for your specific problem, whether it's a hamstring tendon, Achilles tendon, plantar fasciitis, runner's knee, IT band pain, shin splints, right? Those are the common culprits. And then complement that with your run specific exercise you should be doing to offload the quote unquote injured area, right? Or the painful spot. So a lot of times we need to actually strengthen other muscles, surrounding muscles, or maybe even muscles up at the hip that take load off down at the knee or down actually at the foot and ankle, believe it or not. So kind of integrating that with your specific runs that you should be doing. So kind of taking Jana's example, we started with walk run, and we're doing different intervals, and we're kind of progressing that as we go to get her back into consistent running. And then we actually combine the run plan with nutritional advice. Along the way, we have our registered dietitian, Brooke, within our community, who helps all of our clients out, and really allow you to hit various milestones along the way to get you back to crushing your running goal without frustrating pain. So that's really who I specialize in working with in our community before our run coaches. So any of our run coaches, whether it's Kat, Lou, Whitney, Latoya, right? So any of our run coaches, really what they provide is more of a structured plan. And that includes, as I mentioned in the last episode, the structure of strength and a run plan with that nutritional advice from Brooke, as we spoke about. And then I serve as your kind of consultant, as your running physio in your back pocket that you don't need to make an appointment with, that you don't need to call your doctor to get a script, to go to your PT. And hopefully they know a little something about running, and hopefully they provide you the advice that you need. So I serve as a kind of a consultant in those clients that work with one of our coaches, where you start feeling that, ache and pain, you start feeling that niggle, right, in your shin or in your Achilles tendon, then that's where I step in and I kind of assess your situation, provide you in conjunction with your run coach, sound advice, action steps on what you should be taking, whether it is, modifying your run plan whatsoever, modifying your strength plan, adding in specific exercises for that problem, or in the extreme case, which is very rare, by the way, will I actually have you go in and get a specific evaluation by a certain provider? So that's really where I serve from that respect. And let me actually have some visuals here. I'm going to try to share my screen. Let's see if this works out. All right. So this is really what we talked about in our last episode in looking at our kind of three pillars, right, of lifelong injury-free running. We talked about structure, run and strength plan. We talked about support, having that community support, having the motivation, and then the accountability, right, to actually do it. So really what I want to talk about today is, why we did create the program that we have and where it comes from, what's the context, what's that backstory, after treating thousands of injured runners throughout my career as a PT and coaching 300 plus runners now, I've seen some common patterns. And really, the common patterns that I have seen runners struggle with is not having clear structure for what they are doing for their runs or their workouts. So, they're going out and literally every single day is the same type of run. It's 5K a day, or it's the same exact 2 miles, 4 miles, same exact frequency per week. It's the same exact pace every single run, right? Or they're just going out and, just running. So that's kind of one thing that I've seen. Or the common misconception is kind of going out to run to get a hard workout in, right? And you're just running as fast as possible. And you're just trying to see, can I beat my previous time? And I know there are some of you listening to this right now, and you've definitely done that, because I did that in the beginning when I started running. So I know exactly where you're coming from. And then the other pattern that I've seen is kind of constant nagging aches and pains due to faulty training. And this really goes back to our fifth tip in our 5 tips for healthy running, or 5 tips to run strong and healthy, right? Our Spark blueprint is these training errors, or doing plans that are really not right for where you are in your running journey. So for instance, going back to Jana, I hate to keep using you as an example, Jana, but if Jana, just downloaded the, beginner runner half marathon training plan, right? That would have been too much for where she was in her running journey based upon her fitness and how long she's been away from running. So, you know, not really having the plan that is right for where you are. How do you know you don't have the right plan? Is every time you train for a race and you do that half marathon every spring or every fall, or you do that marathon, you always get injured. Like, that's telling me that your plan was not specific for where you should have been in your running journey, if that makes sense. Um, and then those that are training hard for a goal race, just to get back in that injury cycle. And that kind of feeds off of the last point. But, those that are like, I have to do this marathon, like it's on my bucket list, or I have to get a PR at this race. I don't care what I'm feeling. I don't care. I didn't put in the proper base training before I actually started training for this race. I don't care that I didn't do strength training all winter long. I don't care that I really haven't run in 2 years since COVID started. And, I need to get motivated. So I'm going to jump right into marathon training. So these are the common things that we see. And these are the common reasons for actually going back in the injury cycle. So think to yourself, is this you, right? Is that you? Do you always get injured every time you train for a race? Or you stop running because you lack motivation, you lack accountability, or you're suffering from an injury. So you've been told you get pain, and either you think, okay, I feel pain, I have to stop running. Do you realize that the majority of the clients that I work with, I have to convince them, convince them. And this is like weird, right? I have to convince them that, like, no, we're actually going to do the plan that's on your schedule, because based upon what you told me of your ache and pain, it is not, ringing off bells in my head, red flags, and this will not get worse. We need to course correct and do X, Y, and Z, but we can actually stay running with your plan. So that's something that, again, I've seen time and time again, is you feel an ache and pain, you get worried, you're like, oh, I don't want it to get worse, I'm just going to stop running. Or, really people or runners who delay investing in their own running health, thinking that they're not fast enough to be a runner, right? You're not fast enough to actually be a runner. And this should actually be a little better screen share here. And that's really why I kind of created this program, because you don't need to be an elite runner. You do not need to be a Boston qualifier. You do not need to be a quote unquote fast runner. You don't need to be hitting the podium, winning your age group, even getting third place in your age group. I have gotten third place a couple of times in my age group. It's been a little bit since then, but you don't need to be there, right, in order to actually get coaching and get clarity on what you need to do to maximize your potential as a runner. So I want you to think about, what is the cost of you not getting your running and your health on the right path, right? So there are many people that I talk to, and there are many people who have problems, right? Whether it is pain, whether it is actually, not getting any faster. They're always constantly running the same pace. They're like, I'm not getting faster. How do I run under 10 minutes per mile? How do I run under 9 minutes per mile? How do I get under a 2-hour half marathon, right? How do I get under a 4-hour marathon, right? So these are like common problems and solutions that people are looking for. And, I always want to think about, what's the cost of you actually not getting this fixed, right? Think about all the time that you're going to search online for, like, what exercises to do in order to get stronger. Lacking clarity on what you should be doing for your specific problem area or your specific pain, right? What's the cost of that? Like, not getting that clear focus on what you should be doing for it, or delaying, getting back into running, just like, sorry, Jana, to use you as an example, but like if Jana and I met, a couple of months ago, she would have been running and she would have been getting the same result that she's getting now, right? So kind of delaying getting back into running and living a healthier life, or, not being able to run, not setting a good example for your children on how to stay active and live a healthy life. Really delaying yourself, and setting new goals. Like we got the new year coming up, 2022. Hopefully it's going to be a better year. Hopefully 2021, for most of you, was a better year than 2020 was. I know for me personally, it had a big, big low for me, losing my mom in the beginning of the year. But the rest of the year, all of that set aside, of course, from a health standpoint, from a running standpoint, from a community standpoint, what we've really been able to build in our Healthy Runner community and really in our team of coaches. And I just love and how much like joy that brings me. That's been amazing in 2021. So hopefully 2021 was a little better year for you guys than 2020, because that was like really kind of dreadful. But, again, in you not taking action is you delaying actually meeting those goals that you have to get faster or to run longer or to run your first half, run your first marathon, right? Or that constant stress I mentioned before of why did I start running, right? It was for mental relief, right? Stress relief. Like, why did I go for all of my runs this week? Because heck, it's holiday season. Like, things are stressful. There's a lot of stuff to get done right before you kind of shut down and, spend some time with the family for the holidays. I needed to get my runs in because I know if I didn't, I would not be very happy, right? I'd be pretty grumpy. So I needed it for stress relief. And just, I hate seeing runners that are constantly stressed about like their injury, or constantly stressed about like, am I doing the right thing? Should I be doing this? Should I be doing that? And then the worst is having to stop running because you get another injury, right? I don't know if I've ever had to stop running because of an injury. I've mentioned to you guys that I have suffered all of the common running related injuries when I first started as a runner. And really, what I love about now is being able to fast track that process for the clients I work with, where it took me literally 3 to 4 years in my beginning running journey to figure out how to get over hamstring tendinopathy, how to get over runner's knee, how to get over posterior tibial tendon pain, how to get over plantar fasciitis, Achilles tendon. Like, I've figured that out without having to stop running. And now I'm able to fast track that process for all of the runners that I work with. So you're not having to stop doing what you love and, not get the mental benefits of running. So who is, the ideal person who would benefit from getting some clarity on their running? And who is it that really works best with our Healthy Runner coaching team? So there's really two types of runners. And the first is really the frustrated runner. These are the runners that are trying to get out of the injury cycle that I mentioned before, and maybe hasn't been paying enough attention to their health consistently. And they're always worrying about stress, if they're doing the right thing for their injury. They've just been told to stop running by their doctor, and maybe running is just not for you. Or they're just fearful that they will end up getting injured. They're going to have knee arthritis. They're going to need knee surgery. They're going to need hip surgery. And they're just afraid, honestly, that their injury will come back again. And they want to get faster, but they're just afraid they're injury prone, right? That's something that I hear a lot. Or I'm just getting older, and I guess I'm just too old for running right now because I feel these injuries. That is not true at all by any means. We do know that as we get older, we do need to pay a little bit more attention to the things that matter and the things that we could have gotten away with in our 20s and maybe even in our 30s, right? I was starting to get injured in my 30s, but there are some that are good in their 30s, and then 40s hits, and it's like, boom, now here all the injuries happen, right? or those that are constantly like doing the free training plans online, and they really aren't for what their body needs. Or the person who has done rehab and they're like, they've been a good student of the game, right? They've done everything. I remember, Christy, you had talked about this in your episode in sharing your story about your knee pain, right? You go to PT for 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks. You maybe even got a little, continuation, and you graduate from PT. Your PT or your doctor says to you, great, excellent, you have no more pain. All right, you're discharged, big graduation day. Maybe you bring in some cookies, right? Or you have a little celebration, you get a little certificate on your way out the door, and then it's like, good luck, go back to running. And then you don't have any guidance though, right? And you're just like, okay, what do? I just go out and run. PT said, run 3 times a week, right? Or start slow, or, take it easy. Like, take it easy, getting back into it. Well, what does that mean, right? Like, what is the actual structure? What does that look like? Do I do walk run? Do I do 3 times of running a week? Do I do 4 times of running a week? Right. So you're done with your rehab, but you really don't know how to actually get back into running once and for all, and like back to where you were as a runner, right? Your identity, right? Where we have an identity as runners. It's like part of who we are. And if you took away my identity, I don't know what I would do, honestly. I hope that day never comes, because that is a part of who I am now, and it's just a part of my life. So that's kind of the person that honestly I specialize in working with, is that frustrated runner. But we also have other runners who might not be injured. They might not be that frustrated runner. And these runners really do an amazing job with our healthy runner coaches. And these are the committed runners. There are going to be a lot of you listening to this right now, because how do I know that? Like, if you're listening to a running podcast, you're pretty much a committed runner, right? You're trying to seek out information to help you be a better runner, right? That's what I did. I did that for the whole beginning of my running journey, and I just love running podcasts so much. I was like, why don't I start one? I love podcasts. This is what I listen to when I'm on the road. I'm sure there are others that are listening to podcasts, and I'm sure there are some that would benefit from a lot of the information I help runners overcome. So that's why I started the Healthy Runner podcast. So these are really the runners that are constantly running. So you're consistently getting out there, you're putting one foot in front of the other, but you really don't have structure, or you don't know, what you should be doing, or you're like worrying, stressing about your training, or you need a plan, right? You need some type of plan. Or you get confused when you like search online for plans, and you're like, should I be doing this marathon training plan, or should I do this marathon training plan? And then honestly, the big thing that we do in our program, I think, there's only honestly, a couple of other run programs that I know of that actually have strength training for running in them. And that's really what we specialize in. Again, this Healthy Runner Strength program was really created for specific muscle groups that are activated with running. And it's all based upon the research. It's all based upon, all the data out there in terms of muscle activation. I was a big like nerd and geeked out about EMG studies, and like which exercises actually, have the greatest muscle activation of the glute med, right? Which ones have the greatest activation of the hip external rotators? Which ones have the greatest So I've always geeked out about that stuff in my PT career. And really, through trial and error, through research, through, using these exercises myself personally, like literally, these are the exercises I do on a weekly basis in the gym. This morning, I had a run and a workout in the gym. I was doing these exercises. So these are the exercises I do. These are the exercises that have helped thousands of runners throughout my career. And that's, what you get when you kind of jump into our coaching program, is the strength program for running. And, so those are the people, like a lot, like the runner I just had today. I was on the call with, he's never done strength training before for, specific running. So this is all new to him. So that's really like these runners, man, they get the most benefit because literally everyone that I've actually followed up with this week has said to me the same things. It's always, wow, like I had no clue that these exercises can actually make me feel stronger when I'm running. Like I already feel a difference. This is the stuff that, our clients tell us is they feel a difference. Um, so the other types of runners really that our program really tailors to are those that seem stuck. So you're running more, you're maybe adding mileage, you're adding number of running days per week. Maybe you're running 6 days a week now, maybe you're even running 7, but you seem stuck and you're not getting faster. Or the folks that are training for a race by doing that free plan online we talked about and not knowing exactly like what they need to be doing, or those that are doing their first half marathon, marathon, ultra marathon even, and they actually want to, do that big scary goal and not get injured. So they haven't been injured before, but they're smart enough and they're like, okay, I know my limitations. I could probably train for this on my own, but like, why do that? And I still need to be able to do X, Y, and Z as a parent for my job. Like, I can't be getting injured, right? Like, I can't not do those things and I can't get injured. So, those are the people that we really, work well with. And then, honestly, the biggest thing is like those that want to show up better for themselves and be a good role model, whether it's for their children, their families, their coworkers, right? These are the people that really benefit from working with one of the coaches on our team. And if you want to know a little bit more about logistics of how our program works, because I've really never shared the specific logistics of our program, but on the podcast at least, it is a 16-week program and you get one-on-one run and strength training, you get coaching and accountability. So again, this is all customized, personalized to you, based upon everything that we ask you. We ask a lot of questions in our intake form. And then we have an onboarding call where we follow up with those questions and ask other questions because we want to make sure that the run plan we design for you and the strength plan is appropriate based upon your goals. And we already talked about, the different goals those could be. And then we provide you coaching, right? So we provide you the specific strategies. We provide you those course corrections that you're going to need in your plan, those modifications you're going to need in your plan, right? We're doing a lot of modifications for the holiday season right now. And then the accountability piece. And we talked about that in the last episode, how important that accountability is. And how do we do that? What's the logistics? Like, what does it look like? Actually, we do strategic one-on-one deep dive coaching sessions monthly via Zoom. So we jump on Zoom, we record all of those so you can watch the replays after the fact. And those are really strategizing, how have you been doing these past 4 weeks? And then what do we have designed for you in these next 4 weeks? And then answering all of your questions, taking away the guesswork so you actually know, why you're doing what you're doing and knowing the importance of it, but then also, providing that direction. We provide focused feedback on your training on a weekly basis. So we can see all of the runs that you're doing. We see when you get your strength days in. We use the Final Surge platform, nice slick app you get on your phone. You can open up on your desktop. And then you get the strength program for running resource library. And that is what I just mentioned before, Healthy Runner Strength Program. You get lifetime access to that. So when you're working with us for 16 weeks, let's just say you don't wind up continuing, right? So we have different continuity options. And I get that question a lot as well. Is it just like 16 weeks and then like you're done with me kind of deal? And there are some that are looking for a little bit more long-term relationship, right? And you're looking for, hey, I have this half marathon goal in the spring, and I have this goal of actually getting healthy and like not having knee pain, but my real big goal is a fall marathon. Right. So yes, we do help runners with that. And we are able to actually program and think big picture because again, we are all about lifelong injury-free running. We are not the coaching program if you are looking for just to PR at a specific race. And that's all you care about, is that time, no matter what the sacrifice is. So if you just want a PR race and kind of play a little Russian roulette and say, I want the most aggressive plan possible, please. And I don't care what it entails. I don't really care if you even know about my past running history. I don't care if you care about my injury history. I just want to run super fast, and all I'm focusing on is a PR. You're probably not the best fit for our program. I'm not going to lie. Do we work with people that want to get PRs? Absolutely. But the runners that we really strive and work with is those that want to actually run for longevity, and not only run for this spring race, but the fall race as well. And you know what? 2023's race. And you know what? 2030's race. And you know what? 2040's race. So those are the runners that we really work well with, because I want you to be able to unlock and, really honestly learn the strategies that I myself has implemented, our coaches have implemented. Like, I think about our coaching team as well. I'm not going to mention names, but some of you guys actually met me for the first time because you were injured, right? And you were plagued by some consistent injuries that most runners have. And I just think about, two of our members on our coaching team literally have run all the previous year, and we've been training hard. Like, we did a bunch of different races without injuries at all, like no pain. And, knock on wood, myself, I've been there for a good, I don't know, 5-6 years, like haven't needed to derail, training due to an injury. So I want you to be able to experience that, because if you can unlock that and you get all the tools that you need and you learn the exercises on how to get stronger, how to get faster and stay healthy, like PRs will be coming in the future. So sorry, I'm going to get off that soapbox right now, but hopefully I didn't totally kill that. But you get the online personalized structured run and strength plan, like I mentioned on Final Surge, and then our community, our amazing community of like-minded runners, just like you. We have a closed community of just, our healthy runner coaching client support group, we call it. We put bonus content in there. We keep each other motivated, accountable, and you get, access to our trusted team of healthy runner coaches. So this is like such a talented team. And honestly, not only are they talented, right, in terms of knowing the knowledge base, but I am honestly, more of a people person. So like, I have to like you as a person first before we actually talk business. Right. And I've had many people reach out to me who are very knowledgeable or very talented as runners, but they don't check that people box, right? And we just have such an amazing team and such a great group of supportive coaches, and Brooke, our registered dietitian, is just amazing, and everyone just like wants to help each other. So anyone who's in our program, whether they work with myself or they work with one of our coaches, you get access to all of us: physical therapist, a registered dietitian, a personal trainer, certified run coaches. Like, you have an amazing team supporting you that is providing you the guidance to help honestly condense time for you. And really, this is our team. For those that are watching the video version of this, this is our amazing team of everyone that I mentioned before. And, if I could just share, a couple other stories, just some quick ones. This is actually Nivian, who's been in our programs before. And, she said it's been a game changer. Nivian crushes her strength training. She loves strength training. I just love seeing her get after her workouts each and every week. She's thrown in her story and she loves the community and the wonderful coaches, the strength program, and the structure, right? The structure that she was getting. She was doing strength before, but not the right type of strength. Right. So now, we've really taught Nivian on how to actually strengthen her run specific muscles. And then once you do that, you can go back to, like Nivian has, going back to some of the traditional weightlifting workouts, right? Of doing and adding in, weight and adding in load and adding in your squats and your deadlifts and like more of your power strength, exercises. But it really takes learning how to activate and use and strengthen on one leg, right? Like all the principles in the Spark blueprint that we talk about. Nivian has been able to unlock that. Same thing with Jonette. Jonette has really benefited from, you know, getting the accountability that she needed, right? And she had a year off of running, and she's been able to get back into running. And, you know, she had some shin splint pain early on. We were able to kind of course correct that. She's worked very closely with Coach Lou, who does an amazing job with accountability. And, you know, she was back up to running without getting injured herself. Like, she crushed a half marathon, she crushed a marathon. She did an amazing job in Berlin, and she even went on to crush another half marathon after that. So, you know, she just loves the fact that our community is all about runners helping other runners. You know, not only the coaches, that the runners in our community are like really what make it. And then Ken, you know, he's just like many of you know, been running for a while, and, you know, you like to push yourself, you like to challenge yourself. Unfortunately, Ken suffered from this high hamstring tendinopathy. That is that proverbial runner's pain in the butt, that many runners do suffer from. So, you know, I was able to provide him the specific guidance for strength and running workouts, and really get over this stubborn pain in the butt, literally, and really get him his Boston qualifying time. And he's going to be running Boston this year, and we are so excited for him. I've worked with Ken extensively, and now Ken is working with Coach Lou extensively for his expertise with the Boston Marathon. And many of you have probably heard the episode with Coach Lou from his Boston Marathon successes. So Ken's doing an amazing job. He is crushing you know, his running goals and doing it without pain now. So yeah, we're so proud of him. And another person we're super proud of is Francisco. Francisco is relatively new to running. Francisco is in his 50s, and, you know, he has a very physical job, works for UPS, and, you know, he puts his body through a lot. And, you know, he's really done well integrating strength workouts into his running. So before he started working with us, he wasn't doing any strength training. He was just going out and running, and he's seen it as a game changer. He is like running super fast. I've actually talked about Francisco in previous episodes when I talked about my own running journey, because Francisco was the guy who was smoking me at my races. He passed me at my goal half marathon, even though I was very proud of my effort for shaving time off for the first time, you know, in over 5 years. Francisco was passing me at that race. He passed me on a 5K as well. So he's crushing his running. We're just so proud of him, but he's just another one of our runners. Kathleen is another one who, she's just an amazing spirit in our community. We love Kathleen. She's really felt better. Like, she had knee pain when she first started, and, you know, really was limiting her running. She loves running. She does the amazing community here in Connecticut. We have like a Run 169 community. So that's all 169 towns in the state of Connecticut. There's a group, and they pick off every town in the state. So it's really neat. And, you know, Kathleen was able to do that. Like, she actually conquered all 169 towns, ran a race. Her half marathon time, she shaved time off after doing, you know, our training, and she's going to be training for her first marathon this year. So we are super excited to see what she has in store for her. And Lisa is another one. We actually did a deep dive episode with Lisa, and so some of you may have heard her story, but how she came over, you know, Achilles pain, being kind of a first time runner, really getting into running. She's a fitness instructor her whole life, started taking up running, has some amazing running friends that she runs with locally. And she was having Achilles pain and wanted to quit running. And then we had connected. We supplied her the specific exercises to get over her Achilles pain. And then she was able to run her first half marathon and do it pain free, and, you know, do it faster than she ever thought was possible. So, you know, we're just super proud of Lisa there. And this is just some more runners of like who works best with us. Like Alexis, you know, she wants to return to faster half marathon times. Rachel, she wants to qualify for Boston. So these are the runners who, you know, we're working with now, and they're the committed runners, or the ones that have been frustrated. So if you're wondering if you are a fit for our Healthy Runner coaching program, I want you to ask yourself a couple questions. Like, do you want to start running, or continue running for a very long time? If the answer is yes, then you check one box, you're a fit. Are you finally able to get out of the injury cycle? There are many of you out there right now, and I know, because again, I talk to so many of you, I know you're in this constant injury cycle and you've tried various things, whether it's getting new shoes, whether it's getting the infomercial roller, this massage gun, that heating pad, this taping technique. Yeah, I know everything you've tried. I know all the PTs you went to, the chiros, the sports doc, taking medications. Maybe you're considering PRP injections. And are you considering, like, are you really ready and finally ready to get out of the injury cycle? If you are, check that box. You're a fit. Do you want to actually get stronger and run faster? If you do, that's what we do for our runners. Check that box. You're a fit. Are you serious about improving your running and your health? So you have to be serious, honestly, to be in our program. So, check that box. And are you ready to actually get guidance? If you're ready to get guidance, some of us aren't, and that's okay. If you're listening to this and you're like, no, I think I could do it on my own, then yeah, you're not a fit. You're not checking that box. But if you are ready to get guidance, it is really simple. Next steps to really progress in your running together with our Healthy Runner community is to book your Healthy Runner coaching enrollment call with myself. We are very selective. Like, not everyone gets into our program. There's been many of you I've talked to, and I actually tell you, like, you're not a good fit for XYZ reasons. And here are my recommendations on what you should be doing. So we get on a call and I have you fill out, a brief application. It's literally 4 questions to make sure that it is even appropriate for us to get on a call. And, on that call, this is a low pressure call where I really want to learn about your running and your health. And then I determine if the coaching program would be a good fit for you. And if we determine that you're a good fit and you would benefit for your running and your health, then we would discuss enrollment into our program. And that's pretty much how simple it is, honestly. It's not really anything more complex than that. And hopefully that was helpful for you to get into a little behind the scenes of what our coaching program consists of. And also kind of going back to today's topic of, getting clarity. And everyone that I mentioned before was able to actually get clarity in their running and focus on what they needed to do at this point in time. And I can't stress that enough, because I've been there before in my running, and I would love to be able to condense that time for you, right? I would love, and just think about this, right? Like, I am a sports physical therapist, right? Like, I know some stuff and I've treated stuff before, but it even took me, as I became a runner, years to actually feel like I finally unlocked the secret, right? The secret to success on staying healthy as a runner. And I want to share that with all of you. And, we share a lot of this in this podcast. And if you've been listening to this podcast for a while, you've probably gotten lots and lots of value. And I will continue to put value into this podcast, because I am on a mission to spread really good information that is accurate, correct, evidence-based for runners, that is very different from maybe what you might have heard from your traditional medical guidance that isn't a runner, that doesn't specialize in working with runners, doesn't treat a lot of runners, doesn't understand the demands of running and the unique circumstances that we all go through as we hit the pavement. So I will continue doing that. And, my challenge to you is, I guess I'll just say it, that if you are really looking to accomplish some big goals in 2022, then take some action, right? Like, see if you check those boxes that I talked about, take that action and say, you know what, I'm going to invest in myself. I'm going to invest in my health because I deserve it. And I want to actually be able to run for the long run. I want to run for another 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, run until you're in the box like I do, right? I want to be that guy at the road races that I talk about. And you deserve it to yourself, no matter what kind of second guessing you have in your head of you saying that you don't deserve it. And only your kids deserve to have an investment in their sports. Trust me. Like, hey, we've paid for competitive gymnastics for, many, many years. Now we're doing travel volleyball for both of them, competitive dance. Yeah. So we've invested a lot in our kids to do the activities that, and the opportunities we want to give them. But I see so many parents that never invest in themselves and they don't think they're good enough to do that. And I just challenge you to like show up for yourself. And if you're not able to be consistent, because we know consistency is key, and you have a big goal and you don't want to get injured, you don't want to have to stop running, like just take some action and like just hop on a call and, go ahead and fill out that short application, sparkyourtraining.com/coaching, and get signed up for your enrollment strategy call. Like I would love to talk to you about really taking action in 2022. COVID has been so many things to so many people. And what I love is all the clients that we work with, and I see that they did not retreat. I knew when COVID hit, like I was, no matter what, I don't care what was happening in the world, I was not going to let it like affect my mental health, my physical health. And heck, that's why I was working out with a bucket of bricks and a mall axe in my living room to be able to work out and continue getting stronger as a runner, and continue running. Right. So if you are finally ready to do that for yourself, like just hop on a call with me and, we can see if you're a good fit. So hopefully this was helpful for you. Hopefully I added a little challenge to you, as our last episode of 2021. I thank all of you for listening to this podcast. As I've mentioned many times in the past, like I never take you guys for granted. I know there are thousands of you listening out there, and we're growing every single week, every single month. And I don't take not one of you for granted. So I appreciate you for listening to this podcast. And like I always say, if you do learn anything, if you are enjoying this, if I'm keeping you company during this long run, maybe that you're on right now, like after you're done with your long run, don't like stop in the middle of your long run or anything. After you're done, maybe you're like rolling out a little bit, maybe you're doing a little stretching on the floor, maybe you do a little hip flexor stretch in a half kneeling position. Very convenient position to, post something on your phone, throw it in your story, a little post run. Just like hop over to Apple podcast and just drop a quick like rating and review, a sentence or two about what you love most about the podcast. It just helps other runners like you be able to find us. And so we can help more of them, just like we're helping you. So I appreciate that. Tune into our next episode to learn all about how to properly build up your running base and your foundation for your training so you can crush those 2022 goals that you have. And, from myself and our whole Healthy Runner coaching team, I'm wishing you all a happy, healthy new year and a happy 2022. Thanks again, as always, and have a great New Year's. And as always, let's stay active, let's stay healthy, and let's just keep on running into 2022 and beyond. Bye, guys.